What's up, guys? Greeting from the English Grammar Explained. Today I want to show you how to make sentence using passive voice, or the passive, as it is called. What is the passive voice? How to use it in your speech? And this is a sort of introduction video because the passive is quite tricky and nearly impossible to cover the whole topic in one video. I think so, at least. So, let's start from the basics. First thing to remember. Passive voice makes my speech more formal. That's important. It makes my speech more formal and, more polite. Second thing to remember, and it's very, very important, the main verb in the passive is to be. If you don't have any tense form of to be in your sentence, well, you don't have any passive. Well, let's take some example. The car is washed by me. This is my main verb in here. This is because it's present simple, to be in present simple. The third person singular is. And then I use so-called past participle, or maybe you know this thing. We plus id. So this is the verb and this is the id plus the verb. So, the third thing to remember. To form the passive, you need some tense form of to be, in some tense, maybe present simple, past simple, present continuous, and so on. And, of course, you need so-called past participle. That's very, very important. If you don't know what is this past participle thing, well, it is just this, or the third column of irregular verbs table. And this is it. Actually, it's not so easy. Of course, you remember how many tense forms English language has. Quite a lot. So, let me write some simple primitive sentence using all the tense forms possible and then make all of them passive. Well, let's do it. I'm going to make some kind of table or chart or whatever. In here we have tenses. Here we have active form, and here we have passive form. Well, first tense, well, maybe the mostly used, present simple. People visit Rome. Here is my main verb, and if I make it passive, I will get this. Rome is visited by people. I don't really need to write this by people, so I write it in brackets. So, what do we have here? We have the form of to be, present simple, is, and then we have visit, but this is really its past participle with id. From here to here. Well, let's try another tense. Present continuous. People are visiting. What we have here? Rome is being visited by people. We have our is Pay attention. It is being. It's not is. Why not is? Because is actually an auxiliary verb. It's an auxiliary verb because it's present continuous, and in present continuous we have auxiliary verb to be. So that's an auxiliary verb. This is it. And here we have our to be as a main verb. And here, of course, we have past participle of visit. Pay attention that in my original sentence, in active form, we have visiting. We have this thing here, ing. But here we have ing in our be. That shows me what is my main verb actually is in passive. Well, let's go on. Let's try present perfect. People have visited Rome. And in my passive form, I will have something like this. Rome has been visited. Fair enough. We have our so-called main verb, be, but it has the present perfect tense form, so we need an auxiliary verb, of course. And this is it. This is my auxiliary verb, just like here. And just like here, we have is, are. Here we have, has. That's pretty much the same thing. And then we have past participle. Let's try past tenses. Let's try past simple. People visited Rome. This is past simple in the active form. So what will be the passive one? Rome was visited by people. So what do we have here? Of course we have our main verb. It is be, but in the past form it is was or were. And here is the past participle. Someone can say, well, is it so that we have a past participle here? No, no way. This thing here is actually not a past participle. It is just a past tense, a past form of visit. This is it. They are visually the same, but actually they are not the same. Okay, let's move on. What about past continuous? People were visiting Rome. Well, in the passive form we have Rome was being visited. Here we have being as the main verb. This is actually the auxiliary verb, just like here. The auxiliary verb of past continuous, was and were. And then we have past participle of this verb here. Well, let's try another tense form. What about past perfect? People had visited Rome by 1909. This by 1909 I place here just because past perfect has no sense without such things. So what will be in the passive? Well, in the passive we have just this. Rome had been visited. So we have here been, and this is my be, and of course we have an auxiliary verb, had, because it is past perfect, it's connected with been. Just here it was connected with visited. And then I have visited, this is the past participle. Okay, what about future tenses? What about future simple? If I say People will visit Rome. If I form a passive structure, that will be like this. Rome will be visited. And this is it. We have be as the main verb. Of course, we have auxiliary verb in here. And here we have it because it's future simple. And here we have our past participle instead of this main verb. What about future perfect? People will have visited Rome. If we use the passive, that will look like this. Rome will have been visited. So we have our auxiliary verbs here, and this one, of course, because this is perfect and it is future perfect, so we roughly we have 2 auxiliary verbs. And here we have the main verb, been. This is it, it's connected with these things. And then we have our past participle instead of this past participle, actually. Well, maybe you noticed that here we don't have all the tense form. We don't have present perfect continuous. We don't have past perfect continuous. And of course, we don't have future perfect continuous. And the future continuous. What's the matter? Well, if we form, for example, I will give you just one example and you will see what's the matter is. Future continuous. If we use it in active form, everything is okay. People will be visiting. That's all okay. But when I form the passive structure, Rome will be being visited. And this thing here, this is not good. Sometimes people talk like this, but it's not good. It's not convenient, it's not understandable, so don't use passive structures with future continuous, with perfect continuous tenses. This is not a good idea. Of course, passive structures are also used with infinitive, with modal verbs, and of course with gerund and with participle. And well, like I said, it's very, very interesting and sometimes tricky topic. So, in the next video, I will show you how to use passive forms of infinitive, perfect infinitive, and gerunds, and how to use passive infinitive. That's very interesting and very, very useful, actually. Well, that's all for now. Please subscribe, leave a comment. See you in the next video.